My guest for this segment is Dottie Smith. Dottie, welcome to the show. And we're going to talk about the North Avenue reunion.
North Avenue Community Reunion.
North Avenue, what? Dottie, tell me about North Avenue Community. What does that mean? What does that represent?
Well, I'm a daughter of the North Avenue community, and I was raised in that community. And this is our 10th reunion. I initiated the community reunions in 1980. And we're still going strong. We've had people who grew up in the community come from as far as Texas, Florida, Georgia, Arkansas to attend the reunions.
Now, Dottie, the North Avenue community, obviously it goes back quite a ways in Fresno's history, right?
Right.
And where because I'm not a Fresnan per se, where exactly is that community or was that community?
Well, that community is still there.
It's still there.
Well, when I say North Avenue, the focus was the North Avenue Community Center. And it was the hub of the community. The children went there. We went there for, I grew up, as I said, I was a daughter of the community.
Right.
Went to the center almost daily. The center provided things such as, baby clinics where we got shots. Students, young people like me who would not have had the experience to go to camp. We had the experience to go to camp, go to the mountains. The center was operated by volunteers through VISA, Volunteers in America for, I see you do, so you know about this.
Is the center still there?
The center's no longer there.
Okay, it's no longer there. But the organizations that put it together, the volunteers, go ahead, tell me who they were.
VISTA, Volunteers in America, Volunteers in Service to America. Now, I think that program was started by, I don't know which president. But anyway, volunteers ran the center. We had a director. And what was so good about the center and the influence they had, they actually lived in the community. And the directors and the volunteers would actually know the families, the children that came to the centers. They would go to the homes. And one thing I want to point out about our neighborhood is that we're a very, very poor neighborhood. But there was a study done, and we're a predominantly black African-American community, and we had more college graduates during when this survey was done during the 60s and 70s than any other community in Fresno. And we were one of the poorest. As a matter of fact, I learned when I entered college that not only were we poor, we were below the poverty level, but we had the influence of the center. And another good thing about our neighborhood was even though we were poor, I can say we went to the center. It offers many things, but we all have families that we can come home to. Right. And we were blessed. I was blessed. I had my mother and my father, and most of the people in my community, there was a man and a woman in the house, a mother and a father. And I think that was an influence, and education was very, very important.
Right.
And I guess that is why we had so many
and there was a sense
graduates.
Of community.
It was a real sense of community, and that's why I say people who grew up in the community, lived in the community, will come as far away to these reunions, from so far away to attend the communities.
Dottie, when I was young, my mom remarried, and I was really, really young, and we moved to the neighborhood that my stepdad, I call Dad, that he grew up in, and we had that kind of community. That's why community is so important. We were a multiracial community, but all the little kids, and even today, my dad's 92 years old, and there's still people in his community that he grew up with that he stays in contact with. Unfortunately, in today's modern world, we don't have that sense of community. And what a blessing it is for the people that grew up, and the fact that you keep that connection alive through the reunions. That's really awesome.
It really is, and there was a sense of neighborhood.
Yeah.
And everybody knew each other, and we knew that if I got in trouble and someone else saw you, our parents would know, but they would also chastise you. And it wasn't about, you better not say anything to my daughter, my son.
Yeah.
Everybody said, well, thank you for telling me, because I'll take care of this when we get home. That type of unity and caring, and I think that's what community is about, and we have lost it. In this day and age, some folks don't even know their next-door neighbors.
No, they don't. And they live like this far apart.
That's what I'm talking about. Things are closer. Homes are closer. But Also, I want to talk about our neighborhood reunion,
Yeah.
and also the center, which influenced it.
Uh-huh.
As I said, the center was operated by volunteers.
Right.
And Mr. Harry Hoff, who was a member of the Church of the Brethren,
Uh-huh.
he owned that land.
Mhm.
And he, if I can remember correctly, leased it to the community center, or was it $1 a year or whatever.
Mhm.
And so we had a connection with the Church of the Brethren,
Right.
who also had volunteered and worked with the students. And I still remember going to camp at Hume Lake, Bass Lake, and doing things like that, going to the snow at Yosemite,
Uh-huh.
and those types of things. As a poor child,
Uh-huh.
our families couldn't afford those things.
Yeah.
So with these volunteers, we had that exposure. And you know, in today's world, you talk about these young people need jobs. They also need exposure,
It is.
because it's more to life than a job. And you, with the exposures, you see there's another world outside of your realm. And when we talk about the problems of gangs and those types of things, many of these kids haven't gone to the beach.
Dottie, I'm going to stop you right there because many of our viewers don't know that you have a lot of experience with this because you've been on the board for the local college district. What is your life journey? Where are you at before we go forward?
I wanted to talk about the center, but I'll
We're
tell a
gonna-
little bit in our neighborhood
we're gonna get
reunion.
back to
But
the
I'll talk
center.
about a little bit about me. As I said, I'm a daughter of the North Avenue community,
Right.
and had this idea. We had such a different type of community, a sense of community. That I said, I got some of my friends who I grew up with. Let's get a committee together and have this reunion. But as for me, I grew up in a family in which I'm proud to say I did not have. I had my mother and father,
Uh-huh.
which was a good thing. But I didn't have running water or a bathroom in my house until I was a freshman at Washington Union High School.
Wow.
But my mother emphasized the fact that education is important.
Yep.
And that although I worked the fields, I cut grapes, picked cotton,
Mhm.
those types of things. But I always knew that I was going to get an education.
Yeah.
I'm a retired educator after 37 years,
That's
having
right.
been a teacher, principal, counselor, program manager.
And that's what I wanted the people to know. You speak, your voice is a voice of experience, understanding, and authority. When you talk about family, dad and mom, or male and female parents in the house, sense of community, holding young people responsible in a positive and affirming way. You know, if you did something wrong, it wasn't like, you know, the end of the world. You were going to be responsible. And the family looked out for that. The community looked out for that. And that's all centered around the community center. And that's, you know,
And
that's
our-
what you
and our
came in to talk.
parents.
And your parents, right. And you know, what I get kind of tongue-tied. How great it would be if we raised our people up today with that sense of community, you know.
It's not so hard. The thing that happens now, I think we have a community or a society that enables.
Yeah.
And I feel like this. We should not enable. Just because you're poor,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to be poor class.
That's right.
And you may be a single parent, which I was.
Mhm.
That does not mean you should not raise your children.
That's right.
That does not mean that you need to send them to school and ask the school to take over your authority, because I don't think that's right.
Mm-hmm.
My mother used to say, "You better not make me come down to that school." And so,
I've
and I remember
heard that myself.
And I remember one of my brothers saying, "Why do I want to make you come down to the school, Mom? Because I know you're going to take the school side."
Yeah.
She said, "That's right, because I sent you to school to get an education.
Mhm.
And if you have a problem with an adult or a teacher, let me take care of it.
Yeah.
You keep your mouth shut, and I'll take care of it." That's the way it was. Well, I, as an educator, it kind of changed. You have parents come down. First thing they do, my child couldn't do any wrong attitude,
Mhm.
cursing you out, blah, 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 blah. So it's changed, but I think, well, I know it could be different.
Mm.
And it has to be different if we want to have a better society, because the way we're going right now, I don't know if my kids and my grandkids will be able to live in an America that I grew up with, because it's terrible. I shouldn't use that word, but I can say it, because as I look back from where I came and where we are now, some of the things that are happening in politics, you know, having served, as I said, on the community college board, when I was first elected to a school board, I was one of the youngest people in the state of California to be elected to a school
Really?
board. And that
Well,
was
that
in
speaks-
a county school board. So I've always been kind of active. Not kind of. One of my brothers told me ever since I can remember you've been out there. But the point of it is, Kids may not do what you say, but they'll do what you do.
Yeah.
And these parents who blame everybody, and especially I'm talking about, I want to throw this in about parents of color. Yes, it's racist and prejudice out there, but what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Your kids still need to get an education. Your kids still need to see their parents are doing the best that they can do.
That's
so
right.
yes, we cannot change how people's attitudes are, whatever. But it's what you teach your kids to do. You teach them to go to school. You teach them to have a sense of community. Well, my son told me once, "Mama, you're from the old school." I said, "Yes, you get a diploma from there too."
Yeah.
And I said, because old school teaches you certain things,
Mm-hmm.
and like be a person that appreciates authority, recognizes authority, get a good education, you contribute, you don't have your hand out. Then I asked him, "Did your mama turn out okay?" "You turned out real good, Mom." I said, "That's old school."
That's old school.
And
You
so,
betcha.
and the sense of when I talk about our neighborhood reunions and the people who come back, most of us, we have that sense of old school. We had the sense of community. And even today, our neighborhood reunion, I want to put this in, it's going to be the weekend of September 20th through the
we want to
22nd.
it's going to be when?
The weekend of September 20th through the 22nd.
Okay.
We will start with our meet and greet at the Yosemite Falls on Ashland and Highway 99. And people coming in town, we
Okay.
just start with the meet and greet.
Yosemite Falls at Ashland and 99.
Yes,
Okay.
that's on the 20th. And on the 21st, we have our dinner program. That'll be at Pardini's.
Okay.
And then on Sunday, we go to church. Those folks are still in town, and those who want to come to the church service, to the church, even though many people are not members of that church, but that was our community church. So
Right.
we usually go there after the community reunion. That's Sunday, And one of the person who will be bringing the sermon is not a pastor of that church, but he grew up in the community and he's a pastor, so he will be bringing that. That's what we usually do. Someone who's a pastor grew up,
Right.
well, whatever, usually that church
Uh-huh.
will bring the sermon. So we try to keep it connected in the community. We've done some wonderful things. This year we're honoring people who have contributed to the community, like lifelong community servants in the community. We've also, through the years, honored the mothers of the community. We've honored the longest living person in the families in the community, the longest person been married. In that year, I think the person that the couple that we entered that particular year have been married for 70 years, and they
Oh.
were both still alive, and they were both at the reunion.
Ooh,
The
awesome.
oldest member in our community has been recognized. They're deceased now, but she was, I think, 100. So we've done those things through
Yeah.
the 10 years that we've had these reunions, not the 10 years, but the 10 celebrations of our reunions to recognize the reunion and what we've done. And out of that community, we've had educators, we've had assistant superintendent of Fresno Unified, we've had lawyers, we've had people who work for the government, just a poet. One of our members from our program was in Roots.
Yeah.
So when we look back at our community and say, yes, we do have something to celebrate.
You betcha.
And we have, the celebration of who we are, from where we came from, because everybody worked the fields. And during grape cutting time or cotton picking time, it was like a ghost town because we know everybody was on the fields working. And you didn't have to worry about it. And so that's why we celebrate the North Avenue community.
Dottie,
that's why people come.
Do you have a web page or a Facebook page for this?
We do, and
Yeah.
I don't have it with me.
Okay.
But we do, and I can
It's
email it to
okay.
you or
Well,
whatever.
we can. It's the North Avenue Community Reunion,
the 10th celebration.
10th celebration. So, if you Google, I'm sure if you Google like North Avenue Community Fresno, you'll probably
Yeah,
get.
because we do have
yeah.
have a Facebook page.
Yeah. Okay.
And yes.
And you can find out there. Is there a phone number that someone can call if they,
Have questions?
have questions?
Well, they can call 559-276-2066.
Dottie, that's awesome. I want to thank you for being with me today. I learned a lot about Fresno, and in many ways, you just touched certain things in me that, I remember back when, like I said, I grew up in a community, and I wish my kids had that community, and I would like to see my grandkids have that kind of community. It makes for a better world.
And it does not have to stop. It just means that if we look at our society, I know my time is up, but if we look at our society and say, we want give these people a hand up, not hands out.
That's right.
And for example, when I was a teacher and counselor, if we have fundraisers, there were some kids who could just give the money and pay for. I said, no, you're going to have to work like everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do. People need to understand that if you get something, somebody is giving it to you.
That's right.
So you don't. Nothing is free. So kids need to learn, and it's not about somebody giving me something and for free. Nothing is free. You need to give back too.
That's right.
And I just want to say this before.
Yes, ma'am.
And some people may take issue with this, but I think that begging and have these GoFundMe type thing. I'm saying I'm talking insurance now because these people, because there was an insurance people on here, so I want to relate to that as I listen to them. I think young people need to. And you mentioned too when you were talking to them about how kids need to learn these types of things. They need to learn early. The earlier you are, you need to get insurance.
Yeah.
And like I've told my own kids, then I'll close with this. I said, if either one of you go before me, I'm not having a GoFundMe. I'm not selling no dinners.
Yeah.
I'm not doing any car washes, and I'm not standing on the corner. So I'm telling you right
Plan
now.
ahead.
I'm telling you right now, you make sure you take care of that, because my mother gave me my insurance book when I was 21 years old. She said, I've taken care of it from the time you were a child to now. You're an adult, you take care of it. And that's the same thing I told my kids. And my mother used to brag about the fact that I never had to pay Dottie's insurance. I never had to do those types of things. And that's another thing that makes me mad. I see these people begging, and you look down, they got on $200 or $300 pair of nights.
Yeah, I get that.
Judge
Dottie,
not, lest you be judged.
young lady, thank you for. Yeah, that's right. Judge
But
not.
I hope you don't think I'm
No.
judging when I say that.
But when you do,
But I
judge,
think that
judge with
as an
righteousness.
educator, we need to teach kids.
We're on board. I got it. Thank you. Thank you for being with me.
You're
I hope
welcome.
you enjoyed this segment as much as I did. Thank you again, Dottie, for being with us. North Avenue Community Reunion. It's September 20th through the 22nd. On the 20th, you're going to meet at the Yosemite Falls at Ashland and 99, right? If you have the honor of being a part of that community, what a great thing to participate in. I'll see you when we come back.